Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of Badger Blitz TV. I'm Jake Kokorowski, senior writer at BadgerBlitz.com, your Rivals.com destination for all things Wisconsin athletics from, the recruiting trail inside Camp Randall Stadium and on the court of the Kohl Center. Happy Wednesday, everybody. We're coming back. We got some great recruiting Q&A. It's our weekly recruiting Q&A, and I'm going straight into it because there's a lot to talk about with a very busy man who just was in Indianapolis this past weekend for the Midwest version of the Rivals Camp series. Clint Cosgrove, recruiting analyst, the expert within the Midwest. My friend, how are you? And I know you've been a busy man.
I'm good. We had a successful Indianapolis camp, which was fantastic. A lot of great kids showed up. A lot of impressive performances. Kids that weren't necessarily on everybody else's radar that came in and performed well. So it was fun. On the other hand, I like it kind of. Although it was nice knowing all the kids and having evaluated them plenty of times and seeing the few that I hadn't seen in person. When it's your region's camp, it's a little more stressful. So I'll be happy to go back to when I'm the outsider looking in and have a little less responsibility and stress on camp day. But it was awesome. I loved it. I'm happy it's over, and on to the next one.
So absolutely, and we thank you again for making time today, as we do every week. This recruiting Q&A, part of BadgerBlitz.com. We started just a few months ago, and so what this is all about, folks, for those that don't know, very easy. You go to BadgerBlitz.com. If you are a subscriber, great way to become part of our community is to subscribe. You get content not just from BadgerBlitz.com in terms of premium content, but across the Rivals.com network. Clint's great work from the camps, among plenty others, team sites. But there you get exclusive access to the Badgers Den Forum. And, of course, for our subscribers there, every Monday, or every other Monday, I'll go and I'll say, hey, y'all, Clint and I are recording again. Give us your recruiting Q&A questions, and y'all delivered once again. We got a lot to get to. We're going to do it over a couple of shows just to let you know. So if you don't see it be your question, we're going to try to get to as many as we can going forward. So let's kick off the first one, right? I'm done talking. I talk too much. I ramble. So the first question, just we'll go through them here. Like, was there a lot of chatter about Wisconsin at recent Rivals camp in Indianapolis? I'm going to extend that even further, Clint, where, let's talk about the Wisconsin targets that were at that camp in Indianapolis and the Midwest, and even just like how you evaluate the chances Wisconsin has to potentially land some of these 2023, even 2024 kids.
Yeah, so there were, I believe, around eight Wisconsin targets, eight kids that have offers that showed up. I'm sure there's going to be a handful more that will end up with Wisconsin offers. Guys like Darian Dupree, who was our running back MVP. He just got offered by Nebraska earlier today. That was his third offer. We have him as a top 100 player. It was actually his fourth because Miami of Ohio offered this week too. But so I could see him being a kid that Wisconsin offers, and a couple others there as well. As far as guys that they did offer, Eddie Turek, big, strong kid, competitive, tough. He fits that blue collar, tough Wisconsin mold. I do think Wisconsin will have a chance at him. He kind of reminds me of a Wisconsin, Iowa, maybe Notre Dame kid. The thing with him is he can definitely play defensive line, but his highest upside might come on the O-line. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I know some teams have talked to him about O-line. I'm not for sure what Wisconsin has talked to him about, but he'd be a great get, great take. Tyler Gant, he was really good at the camp. Now Gant isn't as big as some of these other defensive linemen as far as height and length, like what's his name from Kendrick Gilbert, who Wisconsin has offered. But he still has good size. But he's fantastic. He was hard off the ball. He was a tough matchup. He's pretty polished as far as his pass rush techniques and tools in his kit. For the pass rush, I really liked him, and I think Wisconsin will have a very good shot at him. CBC kid, and for those who are not familiar, with the St. Louis area. CBC is in the same conference as and plays against the teams like SLU, St. Louis University High School, where Chris Brooks came from, and that group of recruits down there is pretty tight. So once you can kind of get in there and develop those relationships, that'll go a long way. Get a guy like Tyler Gann, I think that would be huge. Anthony Brown, I mean, this kid is a stud. He's just a little undersized. If he was a little bigger, I think he would be an Ohio State offer. He's just so, in this setting, at least in the camp setting, like he is so tough to guard. He's so smooth. He glides, and really it's unfair to a defensive back that's just stuck out there one-on-one with a quarterback that doesn't have a pass rush and everything like that. So chances on him, I don't see them being great. He did not talk about Wisconsin, at least when he was talking to me, maybe to someone else. We had a lot of people there. He was originally a Minnesota commit. He committed. He will be visiting Minnesota upcoming, I think, this weekend for the spring game. So you still could end up with the Gophers. I know Wisconsin fans don't want to hear that. I think West Virginia's up there with them, and maybe Penn State too. Tavian Galloway, Tavian was unbelievable when I saw him at the Under Armour camp. Didn't see much of him here. He's really blown up. He's got the LSUs, the Michigans. But he's a different type of kid where, he's going to go for that relationships and fit. So if Wisconsin, can put in the work and really wants him and can develop those relationships, I wouldn't count him out. Amarian Stewart, he's a stud. He had a big-time performance. He made some big-time plays against some big-time players. He's still growing, developing, but he's just smooth and he can run. And I think he's pretty fired up about Wisconsin, to be honest. I've known him for a while. I've known the family because his older brother, my dad recruited, and I scouted back in the day. The older brother was actually recruited by Wisconsin, and then when there was the staff change, and I can't remember who was the defensive coordinator that went to Oregon State.
Oh gosh. Tim Tibesar.
Yeah, he ended up taking him at Oregon State. The older brother, Ishawn, and now Ishawn actually is at Eastern Michigan, who played Wisconsin this year, and Amarian got to go up to the game and see the Wisconsin atmosphere. And I think that's why Wisconsin really stands out to him. He's going to be a national recruit. He's borderline national already as a 24. But Wisconsin, when they offered, he lit up about it, when talking about it. And, that it really seemed to carry some weight with him. Mari Snowden, he won our defensive back MVP. I know Wisconsin's in it with him. The problem is, I think he found out recently that he's a pretty good baseball player, better than he thought, like pro level, and he might be playing baseball and football in college. So that's not a decision that has been made yet. If he decides not to play baseball, Wisconsin, I think, will be very much in it. If he does decide to play baseball, it's going to be pretty hard. It'll probably come down to Iowa and Notre Dame for him. Donovan Harbor, obviously in-state kids. Wisconsin will have a great shot at him. When I asked him about his offer from Wisconsin, face lit up. He's a young, raw kid with a nice frame, very athletic at his size. He just needs to continue developing. You got to love Wisconsin's chances with the in-state linemen, though. And you know how it is growing up in Wisconsin. The majority of them want to stay and play for the Badgers, so you got to like your chances there. Now, the kid who's really intriguing is the freshman Owen Strabig, or I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly. He is already, I don't know what he measured in, but he was like 6'6", 6'7", lean and athletic, looked great in drill work. Now, this was his first time going up against some of these big 4-star D linemen, and he definitely learned some lessons, and he got frustrated at times, but he fought back. He did not give up, and I love his upside. He got invited to our 5-star underclassmen, which will be happening down in Atlanta in June. So hopefully he makes it down there because that'll be another great opportunity for him. I would be shocked that if he doesn't continue to develop, gain some strength and technique. I mean, because he's just a pup. I would be shocked if he's not good enough to earn a Wisconsin offer in the end. And then Corey Smith, he did a really good job. I didn't get a lot of time to watch the running backs. I was more focused on receivers and defensive backs as we had other analysts with the running backs. But I did watch all his clips, his film from the camp, and he looked really good. So, and I heard good things about him as well. So that's kind of the roundup of guys that Wisconsin's offered. And we're there. Owen is the only one of that group, I believe, who does not have an offer. But it's an impressive group. I mean, if you could land all of them, you'd be sitting pretty. So, that's, I didn't interview as many kids as usual because it was my camp and I had to focus on a lot of other things. Obviously, Wisconsin's name did come up. I just don't know how much and from what other prospects, unless I interviewed them myself or talked to them myself. But, it's a great group. And if you could land, even two of those guys, you're going to be very happy. I'd say of all of them, probably Tyler Gant, Amarion Stewart, and then the in-state kids, obviously, would be the highest chance, I believe. All right.
And head to our next question here with Clint Cosgrove, our Rivals.com recruiting analyst. Essentially, someone had asked this, and we're going to kind of reframe it a smidge on this in terms of impressions with recruits. Obviously, spring football took place. It just wrapped up just on Friday, and we were there for the last 4 weeks. Make sure you go to BadgerBlitz.com for all of my thoughts, musings, analysis about spring ball, along with tons of interviews on this YouTube page as well from players. But, in your eyes, for those that, and for that matter too, John McNamara brought up a great article. He recapped all the visitors, that we were able to confirm that came to spring ball there. In terms of impressions that Wisconsin made on those that came, Clint, what do you think about that, especially with spring ball? And for that matter, a new kind of a revamped recruiting staff for that matter too.
Yeah, I do think the revamped recruiting staff has made a big difference. You're hearing Wisconsin's name more. You're seeing them dip into Illinois more, seeing them dip into St. Louis. And it's funny because, those are things that we had talked about that I think we both agreed on would be very good for their recruiting. And I think now that they kind of have the staff in place and the resources to do so, they're doing it. And they're definitely making an impression. I mean, I had a coach talk to me, was it this morning or yesterday, about a kid saying that, and he's a borderline 4-star kid, that he was very interested in Wisconsin. I'm not going to put out the name yet because I haven't had the full conversation with the coach, but he just wanted some more questions. But it's a kid from Illinois that's highly recruited and would be a definite take and a big get for Wisconsin if everything checks out for him. But, and that was unsolicited. The coach just hit me up and it was like, hey, so-and-so's really into Wisconsin. Can I just get a couple of your thoughts? So, I don't talk to the kids necessarily about individual schools because I don't want to influence the recruitment whatsoever. Right. But if a coach has questions and I can answer, I do it that way. But that's why I just didn't want to bring it up. I don't know if the kid wants it out there yet or anything like that. But, it would be an exciting get for Wisconsin. Now, of guys that did go up and impressions left, Eddie Turek, I believe he was impressed by his time up there. I can't remember the last time I talked in depth with Eddie, but kind of like I touched on the Wisconsin targets at the Indianapolis camp. He fits that mold and culture. And, I do think Wisconsin's a team to watch with him. Jackson Carver, unfortunately, I get a text the night before, and he was one of the guys that I wrote about, the 5 guys I'm looking most forward to seeing at the camp. I get a text saying, hey, man, we're stuck down in Baton Rouge. I think he was back at LSU again, and I'm not going to make it. I'm so sorry. So I was let down, but I understand that. They were trying to find flights to get there anyway. It would have been nice to see him and talk to him. I probably could have gotten more impressions on or more of his thoughts on Wisconsin had that happened. Jackson's interesting because he's played 1 year of football. He was a Notre Dame lacrosse commit, decided his senior year that he was going to, give this football thing a try, and all of a sudden, turns out he's pretty good at it. And started picking up offers. He got like West Virginia and all this, and then he decided to reclassify. So he was at Culver Academies in Indiana. He's now going to be out east. I can't remember what prep school it's at, but he's going to reclassify. His recruitment is blown up. I think what Wisconsin has in their favor is he is a kid who's from Minnesota. He's a Midwest kid. So I think he is intrigued by, the LSUs, the Notre Dames, and teams like that. But you do have to love that he's from Culver Academies, that he's from Minnesota, feels comfortable in the Midwest. It'll be interesting to see if things change when he goes out east, and his recruitment is absolutely blown up since he reclassified. So I wouldn't count Wisconsin out. I don't know too much about the situation there, but he would be a big time get. Cam Williams, I do know that Cam Williams is a fan of Wisconsin because before Wisconsin had offered, his coach reached out to me about Wisconsin saying, Cam is really interested in Wisconsin. What can you tell me about him? Now Cam's a heck of a player. So, and he's only going to heat up more once coaches see him in person because he has the measurables and he can run and he's really darn good. And that's saying that at a raw stage of his career. He's still developing. I like Wisconsin's chances there if they feel very strongly about him and put the full court press. But, he also has SEC offers, and it's going to come down to, does he want to stay close to home or does he want to go and, try to play in the SEC? Grant Steck, have not talked to him in a while, so I couldn't really tell you what his impressions were. I know he was I believe when Wisconsin offered, he was pretty fired up. If I remember correctly, I talked to so many different prospects and write so many articles that it's hard to remember everybody. But then another kid that was up in spring that I think Wisconsin will have a good shot at is Roderick Pierce. And he's a guy that I've been a big fan of since he was, I don't know if it was freshman or sophomore year, but, I thought he could be pretty special, potentially be a national recruit. He's not the big 6'5", 6'4" type like the Justin Scott kid, but he's extremely athletic at his size. He is a big kid, and his recruitment went from some MAC schools to he's really blown up too. So Wisconsin, I think, will be in it with him. I think he'd be a great get, a great take, and he's a kid that I've been a big fan of for a while. So. The guys that did make it up there, it seems like there were good impressions. I'm sure there's more that I missed, but it only helps when you get kids on campus, and it will help even more if that kind of dangled a little carrot in front of their face to get them up there for an actual game day experience, because we all know that Wisconsin game day is a very special experience.
Clint, man, we appreciate your expertise on all this, my friend. What else you got coming up this week here on Rivals.com after a busy weekend in Indy?
Oh, gosh. I'll be traveling again to another camp. I am, I thought I was home this weekend, but I'm flying to Cleveland, going to the Spire Institute for Ray Lewis's camp, which will have a number of top guys there. I believe the linebacker recruit from Batavia, he was on the list of guys who were supposed to be there. But when I last talked to him, he said he was done camping. Since he committed to Wisconsin, he didn't really have anything else. Yeah, didn't have anything else to prove, and that's why he didn't come to the Indiana camp. But maybe the difference would be we don't have an All-American game. I believe they do, and so maybe he's trying to get a spot in that. Who knows? But if he is there, I'll be able to give a good rundown on the latest with him. But I've seen him plenty of times in person, and I feel pretty confident about my evaluation. But it's always interesting to see how much bigger and muscled up he gets each time I see him. Like he looks like a mini Hulk. So, but yeah, no, another camp. Still have camp content coming out throughout this week. We still have 2 or 3 more Rivals camps that I'll be going to. One in Philly I'll be at. And then this summer we'll have our 5-star underclassmen invite down in Atlanta, I believe. And like I said, Owen got an invite to that. Corey Smith got an invite to that. I believe Donovan Arbor got an invite to that. So if those guys all make it, I'll have some good Wisconsin content at that point because it won't be my camp.
Well, Clint, man, we appreciate you as always, my friend. We'll talk to you next week, or coming up. I think we're actually going to have part 2 coming up later this week, and looking forward to chatting with you then.
Always, man. Thank you for having me on.
Folks, Clint Cosgrove, once again, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you check out BadgerBlitz.com. Later this week, we'll have another Q&A up with Clint because there's so much to talk about after spring ball, so much with recruiting going on in this time of year. Obviously, with official visits probably going to be kicking up month of June. The momentum continues to churn, and Rivals.com, BadgerBlitz.com is there for all your recruiting needs for Wisconsin. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great midweek, and we'll talk to you later on.